I'd like to share with you my English translation of the Holy Father's homily for the Friday of the second week of Easter, which is commenting on the beginning of the 6th chapter of St. John's Gospel, the multiplication of the loaves and fishes. The sentence of this passage of the Gospel makes us think. He said this to put them to the test. He, in fact, knew what he was about to do. It is this that Jesus had in his mind when he said to Philip, "Where can we buy enough bread for them to eat?" He said it to put him to the test. He knew. We see the attitude of Jesus with the apostles. Continuously, he put them to the test in order to teach them. And when they were outside from their function and their duty, he stopped and he taught them. The gospel is full of these types of gestures, of actions of Jesus, by which he wants to make his disciples grow, and by which he wants to make them into true shepherds of the people of God, in this case, the bishops, shepherds of the people of God. One of the things Jesus loved most was being with the crowds, because even this was a symbol of the universality of redemption. One of the things he did not like was, or that the apostles did not like, was the crowd, because they wanted to be close to the Lord. They wanted to feel the Lord. They wanted to know that which the Lord was teaching. That particular day, they went there to have a day of rest. The other gospels of other versions of the gospel also say this. They went to have a day of rest, and they had come back from a mission. And the Lord said, "Let us go to rest for ourselves for a little while." And so they went there. The crowd, however, gathered, and they crossed the sea, and they went on the shores, and they waited for them there. And the disciples weren't happy, because the crowd had ruined their little Pasquetta, their little banquet. They couldn't have this feast with the Lord. However, Jesus began to teach, and he listened to them, and he spoke among them. And they passed hour after hour after hour. Jesus spoke, and the people were happy. And they said, meaning the apostles, and they said, "Our feast is ruined, our rest is ruined." But the Lord sought closeness with the people. And he sought to form the hearts of his shepherds, of his pastors, to be close to the people of God in order to serve them. And they understood this, they who were elect, chosen. They understood themselves to be a little bit of a privileged circle, a little bit of a privileged class, a type of aristocracy, we might say, close to the Lord. And so many times the Lord took gestures, took actions in order to correct them. For example, we think about children. They were guarded by the Lord. But the apostles said, no, don't let the little children go near him. Don't let them disturb him. Not children with their parents, no. But Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me." And they didn't understand. But later on, they understood. I think also of the road to Jericho, when there was someone who shouted, "Lord Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me, have mercy on me." And they told him, "Oh, be quiet, the Lord is passing by, don't disturb him." But Jesus says, "Well, who is he? Make him come here." And still other times the Lord corrected them. And so he taught them to be close to the people. It's true that the people of God sometimes wear a pastor out, they tire him. When there's a good pastor, many things multiply, because the people go always to the good pastors, to the good shepherds, for one reason or another. One time there was a great parish priest in a simple, humble quarter of my diocese, and he had a lot of cases, canonical cases and so on, normal cases, like a normal house, and other things, and the people kind of knocked at his door and at his window, and every hour. And they said, and one time he said to me, "I wish I could build a wall around the door and the window, so that they would let me rest for a little while." But nevertheless, he welcomed them, because he was a pastor, and he had to be with the people. And Jesus he teaches his disciples, he teaches the apostles this pastoral attitude, the pastoral attitude that means closeness to the people of God. And it's true, the people of God sometimes wear us out, because they ask concrete things. Always they ask something concrete. And maybe they're mistaken, but they ask concrete things. And the pastor must take care of those things. The other versions of the Gospels of this episode help us to see that the hours passed and the people had to go home because it was beginning to be dark. And the apostles said, dismiss the crowds so that they can go and buy something to eat. Right in that moment of darkness, right when it began to become dark, what did they have in their mind? At least they might have thought, well, let's have a little bit of a feast, a little party amongst ourselves. It wasn't a sort of an evil selfishness, but we understand. To be with the pastor, to be with Jesus, the great pastor. But Jesus responded to put them to the test. You give them something to eat. And this is what Jesus says to all pastors today. You give them something to eat. Are they anguished? You give them consolation. Are they lost? You go out and find them and show them the right way. Are they mistaken? You give them some help to resolve their problems. You give. And the poor apostle felt that he had to give. But from whom should he receive? Jesus teaches us that we receive from himself, but we also ourselves have received from Jesus, and we hand that on. After this, he dismissed the apostles, and he went to pray from the Father, from prayer. This double closeness of the pastor is that which Jesus sought to help the apostles understand, so that they might become great pastors, great shepherds themselves. So many times, though, the crowd was mistaken. And here, are they mistaken also? How the people, they saw the signs, and that they saw the signs that he'd completed. And they said, this is truly the prophet, the one who was to come into the world. But Jesus, knowing that they had come, or that they were coming to make him a king, he left them to go and pray again. Maybe in the Gospels don't say it, one of the apostles would have said, Lord, let us profit from this. Let us take power. It's another temptation. And Jesus helped them to see that this was not the right road to take. The true power of the pastor is service. There is no other power. And when we mistakenly take another type of power, we ruin the vocation, and we become, workers of pastoral business, but not pastors. Structures don't make us pastoral. The heart of the pastor is what makes us pastoral. The heart of the pastor is that which Jesus teaches us now. Let us ask the Lord for pastors of the church, that the Lord would speak to them always, because he loves them so much. May he speak to us always. May he teach us how things are and explain things to us. And above all, teach us to not have fear of the people of God, to not have fear of being close. May God bless you all.